Best Life 30, your 30-day journey to creating the best life possible for yourself. You can just watch this video, or if you want to sign up for the whole series for free and get the bonus companion worksheets that go with each video, check the link in the description below. All right, so today is day 8, and we're going to learn how you can develop more self-love.
The truth is, you don't have anything to give that you don't have. So you have to keep your own self full. That's your job. I say to my girls all of the time that your real work is to figure out where your power base is and to work on the alignment of your personality, your gifts that you have to give, with the real reason why you're here. That's the number one thing you have to do, is to work on yourself and to fill yourself up and keep your cup full. Keep yourself full. Now, I used to be afraid of that. I used to be afraid, particularly from people who say, oh, she's so full of herself. She's so full of herself. And now I embrace it. I consider it a compliment that I am full of myself, because you only when you're full, I'm full, I'm overflowing, my cup runneth over. I have so much to offer and so much to give. And I am not afraid of honoring myself. You know, it's miraculous when you think about it. First of all, for me, my father and mother never married. They had sex one time underneath an oak tree because she was wearing a poodle skirt in 1953. And my dad, to this day, says, I want to know what's under that skirt. That's what I want to know. He wanted to know what was under the skirt. They didn't really have a relationship. She wanted one, but, you know, he went under the skirt and then that was it. And one time under the oak tree, bam. Renaissance.
Woman is born. It happened there.
That's why I know my life is bigger than that. My life has to be bigger, as yours is, bigger than a poodle skirt. It's much bigger. The design, the reason why I'm here is much bigger than, oh, I think I want to see what's under there. So the ability to take care of that, to honor yourself and that which is greater than yourself, that which was the reason for your being here. That there's no selflessness in that, because only through that do you have the ability to offer yourself, your whole self, your full expression of who you are to the rest of the world.
I mean, $1,000 a month, 300 pounds, just, I can't do any of this stuff.
Yeah.
These people are better than me.
Yeah.
So the first thing is, that's the first big problem right there.
Mm-hmm.
First big problem is that you have put a lot of people above you.
Yeah.
Put no one above you.
Yeah.
No one. But if you believe in something.
Say that again, because that's, but the man, the people that make more money, the people that are better looking, the ones that are on social media and they're so good at this.
I put God above me. Besides that, there's no one better than me.
Got it.
You have to become an equal.
Yeah.
So this is how I look at it. If you're playing, and I talked about it at your conference, if you're playing Roger Federer,
yeah,
okay, before you get on the court with Roger Federer, he's the best of all time.
Yeah.
But you're also a professional tennis player, man.
Yep.
You're forgetting your own resume.
Yep.
So once you get on the court, let's say it's a grand slam. Mm-hmm. It's 5 sets, hopefully, if you can go the distance with this guy.
Yep.
But before you even bounce the ball to serve it, you're down 2 sets, because while you look across and you're playing Roger Federer.
Yeah.
But guess what? You hit a good shot on Roger Federer in the 3rd set, and you realize, I can play with this, but it's too late.
Yeah.
You gave up 2 sets before you got on the court. You gotta stop giving up 2 sets before the game begins. Yeah. And we do that already. We give up 2 sets before the game begins.
I remember I had great angst every night before I went out because I was not able to be myself.
Sensation of the year, Rocky Maivia, Intercontinental Champion, and yes,
my very first WrestleMania, the biggest show of the year, the Super Bowl of wrestling.
It's not just all luck, is it? Well, this is Rocky.
That night, 20,000 fans started chanting Rocky sucks. It was a sobering moment, and that was the beginning of the end of my initial run in the WWE. A few weeks later, I tore a tendon in my knee, and I was out for the rest of the summer. And I came to the realization before I went back that it wasn't me, personally, that they didn't like. It was that I wasn't being me. I wasn't being real. I wasn't being authentic. Who is this guy in wrestling who's smiling when he's getting beat? A few weeks later, I got a call from the WWE, and I spoke to Vince McMahon. He said, when you come back, we could continue to shove you down people's throats, or we could turn you heel because they want to boo you anyway. I said, I think it's a great idea. And I said, before we get off the phone, I have one request. I said, when I come back and we go live, I just need 2 minutes live. Me talking to the audience live. 2 minutes is all I'm asking. He said, okay, you got it. A couple of weeks later, I came back. We were on live TV. I grabbed the microphone. Fans were already booing. They started chanting Rocky sucks.
In arenas across the country, I heard chants of Rocky sucks.
I said, I may be a lot of things.
Well, Rocky might be as a lot of things.
But sucks isn't one of them.
But sucks isn't one of them.
In that moment, The Rock was born. And about a month later, I was the hottest heel in the company. And things were on fire. And the greatest lesson about that is be you. Be yourself. Whether it's in entertainment, whether it's out in public, whether you're a celebrity or not, whatever. And the most powerful thing you can be is yourself.
I've known that one of the most powerful affirmations you can use is I love and approve of myself. I love and approve of myself. And when you first say that, it's amazing what can come up and come to the surface. Lots of times when we begin to say that, all the negative messages come to the surface. And it's marvelous because that gives us an opportunity to know what's been in the way. You see, if you don't hear your negative messages, you don't know what's in your way. So when you start to do an affirmation like I love and approve of myself, you want to really pay attention to what the negative messages are, because they're the ones that are in the way. And when you find a negative message, if you could write it down, it's wonderful because you want to think, I found a treasure. This is something that's really in my way and really creating a problem. Remember, we get to choose the way we think, and we can choose to change the way we think. It's always our choice. Now, what I'd like you to do right now is take out those little mirrors that you have. I know everybody has a little mirror. Okay, good. Now let's see if you can look in your eyes without primping. See if you can manage to do that. I want you to look in your eyes, and I want you to say, I love you. I love and approve of you exactly as you are. Okay, now just begin to notice what you're feeling. Don't judge it, just notice. What are the feelings that are coming up? Are they feelings of joy? Do you feel wonderful about yourself? Are they feelings of criticism or negativity? Don't judge them, just notice what's coming up. Acknowledge the negative message. Just acknowledge it, and you can always say, thank you for sharing. And realize that the negative messages that are coming up now are very much the things that are in the way of you loving yourself. Okay, what I want to do right now is let's do just a little bit of sharing. Okay? I want to know what sort of messages are coming up from you. Yes.
Fear.
Who would be upset if you really loved yourself? Me? No. It always goes back farther.
Okay.
Who would be upset if you really loved yourself?
My parents.
Your parents. Which one? Both of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably.
Both of them.
Mostly my
What was
mother,
the family message?
Always judgmental, always.
Okay, so you
never
came
good
from a
enough.
critical, judgmental, resentful family.
Right.
Okay, fine. So you're a
And
wonderful
fearful.
and fearful. Oh boy, you really got it all. Okay, it just means that you have a little more to work on. You know, I really think that some of us are very young souls, and we come here and it's like going to kindergarten. Life is really very simple. And some of us are much older souls, and we pick tougher tests, and it's more like going to graduate school. But you know, you can do it. It's just that you've chosen perhaps a little more difficult things to overcome. But see, it's my belief that the main thing that we really come here to work on is loving ourselves, in spite of what they say and in spite of what they do. And that's what we really need to do. So, okay, you've got things, you've got judgment, you've got criticism, you've got fear, probably a little guilt in there too. Okay, then you I like to always think of that we can go beyond our parents' limitations. You know, they had a limited way of looking at life, and you were a very good little child, so you learned what they taught you. See, a lot of us think that we're bad and we're not good enough and we're no good, but actually we're ideal, wonderful, loving little children, and we learn exactly what our parents teach us. Not always what they tell us to do, but we learn from them. And we learn exactly what they do, and we grow up doing the same thing.
The world doesn't need another perfect person. The world needs you. And you're trying your best. You're doing what you can. And, you know, I think it's really important that you cut yourself a break and that you stop thinking that you have to be perfect. There are going to be days where you're an hour late to pick up your kid, and that's okay. There are going to be days when you can't get to every email, and that's okay. There are going to be days where you feel so underwater, and that's okay. You'll get through it. You'll figure it out. And you've got to understand that it's not about being perfect. It's about just being you. And that means that you got to be willing to start before you're ready. You got to be willing to do what I do every damn day, which is show up in my rollers or start a live stream and disconnect myself or start it and be talking and not even know that I'm broadcasting. You've got to do that version in your life or you're not going to get ahead, period.
You already know the thing about love yourself, and maybe in some ways you've never allowed that. You've never noticed the beautiful things you've done in your life. So you've never allowed yourself to love yourself. But at some point, you've got to recognize that there's a love that's beyond you and beyond me and beyond your actions, and that love is whatever brought us here alive today. Some would say it's God's will and God's love. Some people it's the randomness of the universe. Some people it's nature. Some people it's whatever. But there is something way beyond us, and there's a way to access that and a way to honor that. And the way to honor that is to recognize that you are unique. About 7 billion people, no one is like you specifically. And at least take that as a moment of saying, okay, I'm meant to live my uniqueness. I'm supposed to love the things that make me odd and weird. I'm supposed to love the things that make me strong. I was made this way, so let me honor what's good about that, and what's not good about that, let me work on that. Let me set a schedule to get better at that so that I can not only honor what I've been given, but I can give something back too by getting better. And that aspect of doing that brings in so much joy and so much strength in our life is love. Loving ourselves, loving the process. And of course, the greatest way to believe in ourselves is to love other people, that they become so grateful for us that they give us some of that feedback. That there's so much appreciation and love and joy in the moment with others that you can't help but just feel that vibe, that there's an emotional contagion. When other people around you are feeling loved and cared for and excited about life, it's hard not to rub off on you a little bit, and you start to say, you know what, life isn't so bad, and you know what, I deserve to feel good here right now too, and you know what, you start getting some momentums, some wins, you integrate those wins, you get some feedback to get better, and all of a sudden you start to believe in yourself again, all of a sudden you start to live The Charged Life.
I love me. So the day that you decide to stop loving me, I'm not going to love myself any less. I believe in me. If you stop believing in me, I'm not going to believe in myself any less. If you believe that I'm irrelevant, that no one is checking for me, and that I don't mean anything to the world, because you think or believe that about me, it doesn't mean that I'm going to believe it about myself. See, the day that you start living your life according to everybody else's opinion is the beginning of the end. Most of y'all, and it's f***ed up, I see it every day, all day. Most of you guys don't actually know your self-worth. You don't know your self-value. So you're like a vulnerable little child and you're shaking. And it's like, everybody loves me this week, so I love me this week. Next week, it drops. So now you're running around insecure, feeling self-conscious, and not loving yourself, sad and depressed, based on the feedback, the responses, and the energy that the rest of the world is giving you. I wrote about this in my new book, which is coming. It's called Black Rose. It hasn't been released yet, but it's coming. I talk about the fact that fame is an addiction. Fame is one of the most unspoken addictions out there. So many celebrities and entertainers, athletes, and public figures, they base their self-worth on their relevancy based on everybody in the world checking for them. And as soon as people stop checking for them, then they stop checking for themselves. Y'all don't love me no more? I'm not selling records. I'm not #1 in the box office no more. I'm not making as much money as I used to make. Oh, shit. Ain't nobody checking for me. So guess what? I'm not checking for myself. No one sees the value in me anymore. So I don't see the value in me anymore. Every time I go on Twitter, Facebook, they say I'm irrelevant. So I'm irrelevant to myself now. I ain't shit because you think that I ain't shit. No one loves me because you said no one loves me. I don't love me. The day that you allow the opinions of the outside world to dictate the way you feel about yourself, it is the beginning of the end of you living a blessed and self-loving, secure life. I can tell y'all right now that it is not the car that I drive or any of the jewelry that I own or the size of my house that defines my self-worth. I'm hot. I'm hot. I'm hot when you don't think I'm hot. I'm amazing when you don't think I'm amazing. I love me even if you stop loving me. You can say the nastiest, meanest, evilest shit that you could ever conjure up. It will never change the way I feel about myself. I'm telling you, that's the way I live my life. That's how I feel about me. Most of y'all are on Twitter. You're desperate for likes. You're desperate for the egotistical feeding frenzy. Feed my ego, feed. Like me, because I don't like me. I'm telling y'all right now, the day that you allow the opinions of everybody on the outside world to define your day-to-day, month-to-month, and year-to-year, it's the beginning of the end. Love yourself. Believe in yourself. Love yourself. Believe in yourself, independent of the validation of the world. Have opinions and feelings about yourself, independent of the feedback. Why you gotta have somebody calling you beautiful every day in order for you to feel beautiful? Do you believe that you're beautiful, or do you only believe you're beautiful when other people say that you're beautiful? I'm just asking. Self-love is the cure to self-hate. If you make it to the end of this video, I want you to write, self-love is the cure to self-hate. These are the type of qualities that I'm going and have been instilling in my daughter. There is no man that you could ever meet, Shayla, that can make you feel more amazing than what you're supposed to feel about yourself. Nobody wants to be alone. But if you show up empty, as an empty shell, and you're expecting this man to fulfill you and fill you up with all of the love that doesn't exist, you're going to be f***ed up. Because as soon as he leaves, you're depleted, you're empty, and you have nothing left for yourself again. Never rely or depend on anybody to fulfill your heart. And if you don't believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, you better get to know him, because that's also a part of the process of self-love. You are supposed to love yourself independent of any feedback, comments, likes, shares, and any of all of this other social media. Some of y'all are social media whores. What does that mean? I ain't shit until people on my timeline tell me that I'm the shit. I love me independent of anything that anybody could ever say. Has nothing to do with being arrogant or egotistical. It's just a matter of knowing and being aware of self-worth. I love you. If you make it to the end of this video, I want you to write, self-love is the cure to self-hate. Self-love is the cure to self-hate. And I hope you share this video, because I want this video to spread all over the world. Send it to World Star Hip Hop. Send it to all of the blogs and the websites. Self-love is the cure to self-hate. It's your man Tyrese, spreading love always. Share, share, share. Click that share button. Spread love. Love circle. I love you always.
You deserve to be loved, even if you need to do something for yourself. Because real love doesn't have conditions. Real love takes joy when someone is happy, whatever it takes, even if it means being apart from you for a period of time or even forever. Otherwise, it's not love. It's the selfish desire to get what you want, whether it makes someone else happy or not. Some of you are in relationships where you're committed to the ship and not the relations. You're committed to the institution and you forgot the person, because you don't even meet the person anymore. You meet your story about the person because you've told it to yourself so many times, so everything is seen through that filter. If you think someone is your dear, dear friend and they're loving and they're generous and they're a beautiful soul, and one day they treat you like shit, you'll be shocked and you'll be angry. And if you can't resolve it and you have to leave to go deal with something, you'll generalize their behavior later on. You'll say they're probably having a bad, what? How many of you had a day where you hope somebody generalized your behavior as just a bad day? But if somebody, you think that they don't care, or they're selfish, or they're mean because you've generalized about the human being. Because by the way, you can find selfishness in anybody if you look for it, including yourself. Whatever you look for, you're going to find. Can you find beauty? Can you find love? Can you find generosity in any human being, yes or no?
I love being self-aware. I suck at a lot of things. I just don't think about them. Like, I can't read for shit. I interrupt people when I interview them 24/7. Everybody's super pissed on the internet about that. Not good, because I already know what the person's saying. I can't help it. I'm sorry. There's plenty of things that I'm not good at. I love self-awareness. It's kept me so happy. Like, you know, I'm not upset at myself that I'm selfish in certain areas. That's human. I think that we just don't love each other, ourselves enough. I think I don't know whose perfection I'm trying to live up to. Like like silly things, like people get on me for biting my nails. Gives a like people are just critiquing themselves all day long.
My dreams are first every day, then my wife, then my kids. I can take care of my wife and my kids now. Would you agree? I abandoned this. This is the fuel for who I am. I abandoned this dream, and then I can't take care of them. And then I'm going to tell them what? It's all right that you didn't win. No, it's not all right if you don't win. You need to win. How many of you need to win more? Okay? If you don't control your environment, folks, somebody else is going to control your environment. You guys that run teams and run organizations, if you do not control your environment, someone else will control your environment. You are being controlled in your environment right now. CNBC, CNN, MSNBC, the parents, the kids, the Twitter, the Facebook, the YouTube, the Google, the Snapchats. or your environment, your friends and your relatives, your uncles, your aunts, the garbage dump called planet Earth that you live on is mostly broken people. If you don't control your environment, it starts with me. When I was 45 years old, I'm like, I'm going to control my environment. I'm going to take every penny I have, all the energy I have, all the resources I have, and I'm going to improve me. If I got to go broke in the process, because I'm already broke. Look, if you're not fulfilled if you're not reaching your full potential every day, you're broke right now.
We've been taught how to serve others, sometimes to the detriment of our own selves. Sometimes we serve others higher than we serve ourselves. At times we feel more comfortable with saying yes to other people and less comfortable saying yes to our own self-care. So I ask you, what is that about? It's about the opportunity to fall madly in love with you. The way you love those around you, to fall madly in love with your well-being, to fall madly in love with who you are when you get up from taking care of yourself. When you rise from a nap, or you rise from a spa day, or when you leave the gym, to fall madly in love with that level of excellence. And when you do, what you'll do is give to everyone else around you a better version of you. So oftentimes we sacrifice our own well-being because we're being what I call the sacrificial martyr. And I know that was me. I would serve everybody else, and everyone else would go, oh, I just don't have any time for Lisa. Well, that's the story we tell. I actually didn't believe that I deserved to have a day off. I didn't believe that I deserved to have a spa day. I didn't believe that I deserved to take a long walk on the beach. Something in me kept saying that I hadn't done enough. I hadn't achieved enough. I hadn't gotten far enough. So it actually had little to do with the people around me that I was blaming it on or using as my out. My child, my parents, my family, my community. It had to do with Lisa, giving Lisa the chance to actually enjoy the journey while still on it.
I listen to my own self. Sally come into the office, I'll be crying. God damn, I love this. How good can I be, God? Jesus Christ, I can't get much better, God. Allah. I love listening to myself talk. I really adore myself. You can't love anybody unless you love yourself first. And that's self-esteem, self-confidence. Some people even say it translates over into self-awareness. I don't know about that. That's a little airy-fairy for me, self-awareness. But nobody where I grew up talked about self-confidence. A lot of the kids, a lot of the street gang guys, they have self-confidence and they really don't have that much self-esteem. That's why they join gangs. But they have self-confidence to go out and fight people and, you know, piss in your face, not literally piss in your face, but I mean, piss in your face. And, the current generation, actually about a generation and a half just doesn't.
Most of us, I believe, don't love ourselves enough. Now, I don't mean arrogance, self-arrogance. I'm talking about self-love. Because growing up, we don't get enough love from other people. For most of us, there's a guy that I used to know who had experienced multiple breakups, and to a point where now he doesn't trust relationships anymore, doesn't trust women anymore, because he doesn't want to get hurt. And I believe hurt people. And you could see on his face when I look at him, he doesn't smile. There's no joy. There's no life, right? Think about it. If you have given a choice, if you could have $1 million for the rest of your life, you have $1 million, but in exchange, you could no longer have intimacy. You can no longer have relationship with anybody else. You can no longer love. In exchange of $1 million, would you take it? Comment below. You wouldn't, because life without love means very, very little. And how could you give love? You cannot give something that you don't have. So how could you give love if you don't have love yourself? How can you love others if you don't love yourself?
I realized, I'd say 2 years ago, but especially in the last 6 months, very recent, that, and this is the part that would make my Tim of 5 years ago just
cringe,
like vomit a little in his own mouth, which is, I'm not going to mince words. I still have trouble saying this, but like self-love is not an indulgence. It's not a nice to have. It is a prerequisite. Even if all you want to do is feel successful and take care of the people you love the most, to really take care of them, you have to, as I've heard said, put on your oxygen mask first.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't do that, like you are also shortchanging your ability to care for other people completely. And that's been a very, very much a 180 degree about face for me. Right? Because for a long time, I was like, I don't need to care for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's, the word keeps coming back to me, which is self-indulgent. Like, is this self-indulgent?
Mm-hmm.
Like, who cares?
I have a very important lesson that's something I've been applying in my own life. And a girlfriend of mine called me yesterday and she said that she was feeling really attacked and judged by someone at work. And my response was, don't defend yourself, don't fight back, don't judge back. Your work, I said to her, is to, the moment that you feel judged and attacked, do something immediately to make somebody else feel loved. So when you feel as though someone has attacked you, judged you, bullied you, done anything to make you feel inadequate or unlovable, do the opposite. Do the exact opposite. Go and do something to make other people feel good. So go make somebody feel lovable, adequate, and good enough. And that simple practice of just taking yourself out of the knee-jerk reaction to fight back or defend, but instead to go give love, that can change everything for you. When you feel judged, immediately go give love. Go do something kind, do something compassionate, do something loving.